you can do your part, and our trustee folks will keep an eye on the attendees list and bring in any other committee members as we see them pop up on the screen. I think there might be one or two more that I haven't seen yet, so hopefully everyone will join. But anyway, welcome everybody to the October edition of the Crownsville Advisory Committee virtual meeting. I'm Chris Trumbauer, your chair for the meeting today. We've got a pretty exciting agenda. I know that we've been working towards this for months, if not the better part of a year, actually. And you can see the agenda up on the screen, but the main event is we're going to walk through some of the highlights of the draft master plan, which is hot off the presses, and you guys will get the first look at that. Just to kind of set the bounds here, we will have a 45-day comment period, so folks will have about a month and a half to review this and get comments in. So we're really excited about this. And we're going to do the typical project manager update. We're going to discuss the equity statement that the ad hoc committee came up with. Then we're going to talk about how the committee is going to work in the upcoming year. So that is a big agenda. There's a lot to get through. So I think I'm going to go ahead and kick us off by turning it over to Cecily. And we can now take down the agenda. And I think, Cecily, you're going to share a presentation and walk us through some highlights of the draft master plan.
Yes, thanks so much, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here today, especially to share with you that the first preview. I'm hoping, yes, you see up on screen. What I first wanted to talk to you about is where we are in the schedule. So our team has been working diligently through the process. I'm happy to say that we are right here on October 10th. And not only do we have this advisory committee meeting, but we have a very important open house on the 10th this evening at Rolling Knolls Elementary School. So this will be a quick preview. You can see much more at that open house, as well as visiting the posted document online. And then we'll have a town hall for open mic and further feedback on the 30th at the end of the month. From then, we are revising the plan based on the feedback. As Chris mentioned, we'll have that 45-day period for input, and we'll be revising the document likely until the end of the year when we hope to have approval. Let me share with you some of the ideas that we came up with based on the input that we got from the public, from stakeholders, from the committees, and from other agencies. We have here an overall plan that's really looking at dividing the site. It's a very large 500-acre site into districts, and the recommendations that we put forth are in each district, and those are based on, character, where it's located, some of the main uses for those districts. So they do vary in character quite a bit over the whole area of the park. We've also come up with an illustrative plan to the right that you can see, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on this. And again, you can find much more detail. But for example, Campus Core here at the center in yellow, we're looking at an area that is pedestrian only and has a lot of the active uses in terms of an event lawn. We have a new entry. We have the Path of Reverence, which I'll talk about in a moment, and an active recreation across from the farmstead. So here you can see to the right first is this. We know that people want access. So that was probably the number one comment that we got throughout all of the public engagement. People really want to reconnect with this site in various ways, but they want to reconnect. And to do that, we have proposed an extensive ped and bicycle network throughout. And each of these systems has a different user in mind or multiple users. But you go from pedestrian paths that are sidewalks to trails that go through the wooded area that are really meant for pedestrians only, to trails in the South Forest that are meant to be hiker-biker active recreation. And then, as I mentioned, the Path of Reverence comes through along Farm Road. One important thing for this whole network to work is to think about how the traffic might be resolved up near General's Highway. So we are looking at the potential of a roundabout where it comes off of General's Highway, Crownsville Road, connects into that, and Fairfield Loop Road as well on the opposite side. And that really sets the stage for a new entry and a new arrival sequence to the overall plan. It doesn't touch the female attendance building or some of the admin buildings, so it's respectful of that. And we've also woven in some additional visitor parking in this area. Here you can see the campus core, which, as I mentioned, has a central event lawn space. You can see the administration building complex above it, and then a sloping lawn. This is using the natural grades that are there on site, but looking at this as the main area for could be larger events. We also try to incorporate what we learned was the parade route back in the day for the hospital, so that you could have that parade route landing into the central green space here. We looked at several buildings. This is just one of them, the admin complex that I was just pointing to and that you see in another photo here. We looked at for uses such as the museum and space for racial healing. Bowie State University has suggested they would like a presence on campus, and we looked at that in those main historic buildings as well. We also think that that could be supported by other community spaces such as a maker space, where people could come in and use tools, and artist studios could be rented out in the wings of what was once the day rooms and dormitories. So we have looked at several buildings on campus for reuse, because we want to make sure those buildings are renovated and become thriving and vital again instead of further deteriorating. East Campus, this is the area where Hope House is, and where the Anne Arundel County Food Bank is looking to, this is a placeholder for them, but they are looking to relocate out of the central kitchen just off to the lower left. And potentially some of these other buildings could be reused for transitional housing. The active recreation core is centered around the Campanella building. Many on the call will know that the Campanella building was the auditorium gymnasium building. Both active recreation as well as performances were held here when it was an active hospital. The Meyer building, very large building here. You can see that we've sunk a track. We've heard a lot about therapeutic track use and field space that could be on a lawn down from Farm Road, as well as reinvigorating the practice field that's located off to the right. South Campus is the area that you may know as you travel further along the roads that lead to two, what I would say, hilltop and extension areas. These are patient cottages. We don't have a firm reuse yet, but those buildings could be adaptively reused. For now, we'd like to see them mothballed, which is a process by which they are shored up so they don't further deteriorate. One thing to mention, we do think this could be an area for scouts to use if that was the case. They back up into very nice wooded areas, and the South Shore Trail we think would come along here and connect with Hawkins Road. The historic farmstead, we know that preserving some of the agricultural buildings on this campus will be important. We also heard a lot about turning the page on the past labor of patients into community gardens. So here we are showing community gardens around a new building that could be a center for agricultural education and gardening. The silo could be stabilized, and there could be other educational areas located around some significant trees on site. And then maybe keeping some of those other buildings as remnants in the landscape. Here you'll get your first look at the path of reverence that comes along back and forth across Farm Road. This is the existing Farm Road that leads to the cemetery. And we've shown the new memorial as planned with over 1,700 patient names now engraved on it. That's in process and being built currently. We also want people to be able to get down into the woods. We think that nature has a good ability to heal and also to educate. So you can see some of the trails that we envision in the North Forest would come down to the streams into the valley of the forest, and you could meander. And this is more of the quiet, reflective area of trails through the woods. The path of reverence, as I've mentioned, is really a path to bring you from the campus core to the cemetery. And it's really a path of reverence and reflection so that there could be history, sustainability, education on the past that was here, both difficult and joyous and healing, as you come down this path. So we know that mental health is not always a straight line, hence the path of reverence can veer off and people can take moments of quiet repose as they move down this path. That is all for me, and I'll turn it over to Michael to go through the last few slides.
Thank you, Cecily. So yeah, October is going to be a busy month for the master plan. So we've broken down a couple of the events here coming up. Today, as been mentioned, the draft master plan has been posted, and we have a 45-day review period. Tonight at Rolling Knolls Elementary, we have an open house, public open house from 6 to 8. So come by anytime and talk over the draft master plan. On the 30th, we're going to have more of a full open town hall meeting with the county executive giving opening comments, and then presentation and open mic. So it's a busy time. Please help us get out the word, neighbors, other committee members, that sort of thing. We greatly appreciate it.
And Mike, can I just add for clarity? So tonight, the public open house, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but that's more, there will be some poster boards and there'll be some displays and people can look at that, and there'll be some folks around that they can talk to about it. But there's not a time for, public comment. It's not open mic time tonight because we've just released this. People are going to need to review it. They're going to need to get their thoughts together. And that's what the October 30th event is for. That's going to be with the county executive. It is going to be a town hall or a listening session. So what we're hopeful is that people will, see the draft. They'll look through it. They'll get their comments together and then be prepared for that public event on the 30th. Tonight is more to learn more, to go in depth, to see some more of the visuals and displays. Am I characterizing that right?
Yep, absolutely, Chris. Yeah, there won't be tonight. There won't be a presentation. There won't be an open mic. Come by anytime between 6 and 8 and speak one-on-one.
Great. And then we do have the entire draft plan on the Crownsville webpage now. It's 91 pages. It's really great, but you guys are kind of getting the first look right now. Later this afternoon, the county will, send an announcement, a public announcement out that it's on the website and it's available in the 45-day comment period. But this is literally hot off the presses, and you guys are getting the first look.
Well stated. Thank you, Chris. So I have a couple extra slides here. I'll be brief on some recent achievements on site. A lot of things we needed to know how the draft master plan was going to take shape. We're getting better focus on it now, but several things we didn't have to wait. We could get ahead on in the last year. So I want to just touch on those briefly. Trail planning, we are doing some initial surface trails in the southern part of the property off of Hawkins Road, and that's ongoing. Transportation, it's always been a goal to connect this location to public transportation, and we've been working with the county transportation office, and we have some initial stops we hope to expand in the future. Oral history collection, that's ongoing. We're reaching out to former staff members, family members, anyone who has a connection to the hospital to record an oral history. Artifact collection, Jane Cox at Planning and Zoning and her archaeological group have gone through and collected several artifacts throughout the campus. We're initially storing them in the maintenance building, but we've just recently acquired a better storage location off-site, better climate control, better security. So we'll be moving the artifacts in the next couple of weeks, and that will continue. Artifact collection will continue as we move through the campus. Jane is also working on interpretive signage. She's putting some signboards up initially on the campus. The website, The website has been kind of our one-stop shop hub for communications, all things Crownsville, all things master plan, and we envision it being the same, utilized moving forward in the next couple of months and further on as we implement some of the master plan recommendations. That will be a good location for us to post updates. Next couple bullet items are all kind of tied together, the water and the sewer system. We knew when we took it over from the state that those the underground utilities needed some assistance. We had to start first with surveying, needed to know where everything was, all the valves, all the manholes, all the lines. We had some initial information from the state. We took that and enhanced it. That's done. We know what we have there now. And we've also done initial evaluations of all of those systems. And that's driven what we need to improve. So we've started the design for the water distribution system replacement. That'll be ongoing for the next month. This will go to the next slide. The water treatment plant, we knew that needed some updates. That's ongoing now. The sewage pumping station, the water treatment plant, we know consists of a large piece of property in the central part of the campus. So we're looking at options, as we've mentioned before, to replace that with the pumping station and a force main. We completed the initial evaluation, and now we have a designer on board, civil engineer on board. So we're working with that design. One of the challenges is the force main alignment. So that one of the first things we'll be looking at is the different options to connect it to the existing wastewater treatment system. Security, it's always ongoing. We're always looking for ways to improve it. Tied to that is shoring up the structures. A lot of these structures need some attention to get further shored up. With security, it's cameras. And one of the challenges with cameras is always having a stable data connection. We've resolved that. We have pulled the county fiber network system into the campus, into the maintenance building. We envision the maintenance building being a hub, and we can branch off of that, which we've already done for the water treatment plant. So we have cameras at the maintenance facility and at the water treatment plant, and we have the ability to expand the fiber connection and increase the overwatch of the property. The cemetery memorial, we've had a lot of movement in the last several weeks. We have the foundations are complete. The concrete pad is complete. We will be installing pavers, architectural pavers on top of the pad. We engraved the pavers with numbers to correspond to the tombstone. That was a challenge. We're done. They've been delivered. So we're going to be installing those in the next couple of weeks, and we are very close to having the final proof, which will allow the engravings of the memorial. So that we should be getting close in the next couple of months to finishing the cemetery memorial. And I know the Crownsville Friends Group is very excited, and they want to plan a kind of a ribbon cutting ceremony once it is complete. So we'll be planning that in the near future. And then finally, we did do an initial evaluation of all of the structures on campus, and from that evaluation, about 20 structures were recommended, saying they're just too far gone, and they do pose a safety concern. And part of opening up the campus for more public use is addressing those safety issues. So we'll be working on that in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be using the website to communicate the process, how we get those structures identified. Some of them work with Maryland Historic Trust, then go through permitting and all the notifications that follow. So that's all I have for PM updates for what's been going on campus.
That's great. Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Cecily, for that. Certainly top level overview. And I just want to pause for a second. I know we just gave you a lot of information, and I'm sure everyone will be digging through the 91-page report. But if any committee members had any initial thoughts or questions about either the process or the plan itself, we can take a minute or two now before we jump back into the agenda.
Chris, I had a question, I guess, for the team. I know there had been talk about locating a county water treatment plant in the south portion of the site. I didn't see that called out on the master plan, but I did see what might be a spaceport. Has that been factored into this
Right.
process?
Well, so I'll ask Mike to answer this, but I think we all know that the current treatment plant is kind of an obsolete technology with spray fields. It takes up a lot of real estate. So whatever the next version of that is, will be a much compressed footprint. But Mike, can you or Cecily maybe answer Dora's question more directly?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have for the future water treatment plant, we do have a space designated, and it's been on previous site plans in the southern portion on one of the previous wastewater treatment spray fields. So that's still kind of a placeholder, a very preliminary placeholder for that future water treatment plant, which would serve the campus and replace the existing water treatment plant, but would also expand the county's water treatment ability. Karen, if I missed anything, please fill in. Karen,
You
you're on.
got it. I think Chris was talking about the wastewater plant. We are definitely transitioning that to a sewage pumping station that will collect the sewage there and take it to one of our existing treatment plants so that we have a lot more space in that area. So I think, Thor, you were asking about the water drinking plant, and that's Mike showing you where that is. But we're still evaluating whether that's a good site, because this would be a regional water plant, not just for Crownsville, which the existing water plant there only serves Crownsville and those tenants in the surrounding areas.
Yeah, thank you. I was just clarifying that it was at least being incorporated in the planning features for this, for a set aside. Thanks.
Great. And then Larry, looks like you've got a question.
Yeah, so just real quick, the path of reverence, that's also ADA accessible, I imagine.
Yes, that would be ADA accessible, absolutely. And we even would hope that at least some of the perimeter that comes into the forest would also be ADA accessible, so that we can't make all of those trails through, but we do want people to experience, of any ability to experience, the forest as well as the path of reverence.
Yeah, great question, Larry. And just generally on the concept plan, the area where the path of reverence is, and north of that is typically where the more accessible trails will be. Down in the South Forest area is where you'll have the unpaved natural surface trails that are more for hiking and perhaps mountain biking, and that'll be in the undeveloped area. So the whole plan was to provide kind of something for all the different user groups. All right. Any other initial thoughts or questions from committee members on the
I think
draft
Scott has
master?
his hand up.
Hey.
Physically.
Hey, guys. Yeah. Overall, amazing. Looks great. Very exciting. Very exciting. Well laid out. Just simple question. Are there any courts put aside, for instance, tennis, tennis, pickleball? I didn't see anything there, and I'm just curious if that made it into the plan.
We do. They are near the Meyer building. I'm looking to see if we have a, you can see, I don't have the plan in this short deck, but you can see their location as you come
Okay.
off of Crownsville Road down really Marbury Drive at this point before it becomes Farm Road. But we think here is a good location in that bowl next to the Meyer building.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
There is more detail on that in the full document, Scott.
Great. Thank you. That's great presentation. Looks awesome. Thank you.
Well, yeah, let me just wrap this up. In full disclosure, I did get a little bit of an advanced preview, so I have seen the whole 91-page report, and I was blown away. So extremely impressed. I know the county executive has seen it. Really just kind of bringing the vision, not only that the county exec and some of the administration had, but really, I think, doing an excellent job of incorporating all the hard work that went into the subcommittees from this group to help influence and provide input. So we're very eager and anxious to see the overall general public comment and see what people like and potentially don't like about it. I'll use this opportunity to just remind everybody, no decisions have been made, right? This is a draft master plan. What we're hoping happens now is we'll have that comment period. After that comment period closes, we're going to have another meeting of this group so we can review the comments. Then as long as nothing goes too sideways, we're hopeful that we can button it up and finalize the master plan around the end of the year. So that's the timeline that we're hoping to do. And everybody on the screen has been a valuable contributor to getting to where we are at this point. So I think what we're going to do now, before we go into the other things of the agenda, I was so excited about the master plan that I neglected to. We do have 2 new members that this is their first meeting. So Thor and Karen, if I can ask you guys just to introduce yourselves real quick. And Thor, since you already asked a question, you can go first, and then we'll have Karen go.
Oh yeah, thanks, Thor Young. I was previously a member of the infrastructure subcommittee. Now promoted to chair that Allison has moved overseas. So here representing infrastructure on the committee.
Right.
Hi, thanks, Chris. I'm Karen Johnson-Shahid. I'm the Chief of Staff and Executive Vice President, General Counsel at Bowie State University. And I'm representing the university as a relatively new partner with the county. So very, very excited to be a part of this project. Thanks.
Great. Well, thanks, Karen. We're delighted to have you and look forward to your participation going forward. Okay, so the next thing that we want to discuss today, and this is another effort that had a lot of work behind it. You'll remember at our last meeting, we formed an ad hoc committee led by Asha Smith to come up with a draft equity statement. And let me just tell you that committee met several times, if not more, put in a lot of hours and far exceeded my expectation for the scope of what they were going to do. So we have the proposed equity statement. I think, Kalisha, it's kind of long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you can put it up on the screen just to give folks the general vision of it, and maybe I'll hit some highlights. In an unfortunate occurrence of timing, Asha can't be with us today. She's dealing with some family health situations, and we wish her the best. And then Jansen Evelyn, who was a lead staffer, is also not able to be here. So it falls to me to introduce this, even though I can't take any credit for it. So what you'll see here is kind of the first 2 paragraphs are the general Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park equity statement. I think they're very well written and on par with what we were hoping for. And then the next page and a half are some acknowledgements that I think are important to really level set going forward what happened at this site and the fact that we need to acknowledge and appreciate that so that we can move forward with our vision of healing. So if we haven't yet, we will share this with the committee. And what I'm going to ask folks to do, if you want to review, if you have any thoughts or comments or questions, if you can do that by, say, the next 2 weeks, and then we'll circle back with Asha and her team and try and finalize this and then submit it to the county executive for his approval. And if everything goes well, then we will adopt this as the official equity statement. At the same time, the committee also did some work on some recommendations for going forward. And that isn't, we're not quite ready to share that at this point, but I've seen an initial draft of that. Again, very impressive, and I think could form the backbone of our future efforts. So I think the committee is going to continue to work on that as we work to finalize the equity statement. And then those proposed commitments or recommendations we'll be ready to bring that forward either at our next meeting, or if they get done before that, we can certainly circulate it on email And again, we would submit those to the county executive, and the administration could choose to incorporate those in our work going forward. So again, I apologize that neither Asha or Jansen are here to give more detail about this work. But Larry, I know you were on the committee. If I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there's anything you want to add or you want to say about this work, please feel free.
I think you did a marvelous job, and I can answer any questions that might come up if possible.
Super. So again, we'll share this out to committee members. When you get a chance in the next week or two, take a good read. If you have any questions, comments, you can send them to me. You can send them to the Crownsville Hospital email where everything goes to, because that's the clearinghouse, and we'll route it to the right place. We'll hope to get this buttoned up, maybe by the end of this month and over to the county executive. So she's not here to hear the praise, but thanks to Asha and thanks to everybody that was on the committee. I know you guys met a bunch of times and did a lot of work, and I think that will be ongoing as well. Okay, so then that brings us to kind of what happens next, and I would say much of our time over the past year has been spent getting to this moment where we now have the draft master plan, right? And we should all celebrate that and be appreciative that we got here. I'm certainly excited and impressed. But what happens next is the logical question. So what I would like to propose at this point is, since our subcommittees were so important to providing feedback and getting different elements and components in the master plan, I would love it if the subcommittee chairs were so inclined, you can reconvene subcommittees during this 45-day period. And as a subcommittee, you are welcome and encouraged to submit your public comments or questions as part of the overall review. Individual members of subcommittees are certainly welcome to put their own individual comments in if they differ from the subcommittee consensus, or they go beyond, or there's something specific they want to focus on, of course. But we do want to honor the work of the subcommittee. And so I was thinking, if they're able to get together, review the master plan, and submit official comments on behalf of the subcommittee, that would be really helpful for the consultant team and for the administration as we look to transition from the draft to whatever the final master plan will be. So I think we have all of our subcommittee chairs on this meeting. Does that sound viable to you guys? Can you set up a meeting in the next 45 days and talk that through and get some comments together? Got a thumbs up from Scott. Pam, thumbs up. Thor, you're a subcommittee chair now. Does that sound good to you?
Yes, I was just looking for my thumbs up feature. Yes, on board with that.
Okay, awesome. And then let's see, there's one more. What's our fourth subcommittee? No one's raising their hand. Pam, you're health and cultural history. Who's our chair of that? Let's see.
It's Jackie, Chris.
Oh, and she's not with us today. Okay. And Jansen is the staff lead, and he's not here either. Okay. So look, 75% ain't bad. We'll take your guys' commitments. I'll follow up personally with Jackie and Jansen. I'm sure that they'll be eager to get their committee together as well. And then we'll look forward to getting your guys' comments. So then, as far as the actual next committee meeting and going forward from this point for this group, we'd like to set December 5th at noon as the next meeting. And the thinking behind that is the public comment period, the 45 days, will end towards the end of November. I think it's the 24th. That'll give us about a week, maybe a week and a half, to get all of those public comments, consolidate them in a way that is digestible. And then we're going to use the bulk of our December meeting to go over those comments, get committee feedback, help shape the direction that we go in between draft master plan and finalizing the master plan. So that'll be the bulk of the work that we do in the December meeting. And then at that point, I'm going to propose that we get on a regular quarterly meeting schedule. So every 3 months starting in December, and we'll take whatever issues are at play at that time. So if you kind of play this out, once we adopt the master plan, hopefully by the end of the year, then that really is our roadmap for going forward. And the work then will be, how are we going to make the plan into reality? And obviously it's going to be iterative, and we're going to match up what we can do with the funding available and partnerships and all kinds of things. But I think that there will be places along the way that certainly the committee will add value by weighing in, or we may form some more ad hoc committees to look at some specific issues or challenges. But I find this group to be very, very valuable, and I think that there will be a continued role, even if we don't know at this time exactly what that looks like. So if anybody feels like they've done their duty and we get to December and you want to check out, we can certainly talk about that, and you can get an honorable discharge. But if there's still enthusiasm and you want to keep working, the vision for Crownsville is going to be a generational effort, and I think there will be lots of room to contribute in the future. So I'd like to keep the group going after December, if that sounds good. All right, well, no one is rebelling or showing the thumbs down emoji, so that's a good sign. And we've come to the point in the program where it's time for general committee member comments or questions. So if you are on a committee and you want to bring anything to our attention or ask any questions, this is your time. And then we'll move on to public comment. Everybody good? I know you're just dying to download the 91-page master plan and thumb through it. And I assure you, it will be worth it. It's really great. Okay, so now I'm going to ask our technical friends. So we're going to ask if there's any public questions or comments. I think that it looks like there's one hand raised in the attendee section. You can also, I think, use the Q&A function. So if you want to type a question, we'll be sure to answer that. But in the meantime, I think I'll ask, we've got Diane has her hand raised, if we can unmute her and let her ask her question.
Hello.
Hi there, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure how this was working. So thank you for taking my question. I had anticipated that I would be part of a committee and getting regular invitations to participate, but I don't believe, unless I've overlooked them, that I've been participating in a lot of this groundwork, which I would love to have done, but I see that there's still room to do some things. And so I just didn't know what the possibilities were in terms of participating more than I am now.
Sure. Well, I would encourage you to really dig into the draft master plan and submit your comments as part of the review period. So you've got until November 24th. And you can come to the town hall that's scheduled on the 30th, or you can submit your comments to our email, which I'm looking up now because it has a bunch of dashes and stuff and I always forget it. But it is crownsville-park-comments@aacounty.org. That serves as our clearinghouse. So all of the correspondence that's sent to that email is received, and then it's assessed to where it should be sent. So if you send public comments there, it'll be added to our collection. Or if you have things besides the draft master plan, you can ask that too, and we'll get questions answered. So thanks for your willingness to help, and we'll look forward to getting your feedback as part of that comment period. Let's see, have we got any other questions? It looks like we might have some ongoing Q&A. What about water park and gardens? Christine, it looks like you were about to answer that. Do you just want to unmute and do it orally?
Sure. I was just about to type out an answer. Good afternoon, everybody. Christine Anderson. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for Anne Arundel County. A water park is not currently listed in the draft master plan, but there's some space set aside for gardens. I'm just encouraging anyone who submits or would like to see certain things in the final designs of the final master plan, please go ahead and file your comments on the draft master plan. Chris Trumbar will be giving that information at the end. Come to the town hall meeting, the end of the month. We'd love to be able to make sure we incorporate as many ideas that people have as we can.
Great, thanks, Christine. And I guess it kind of depends on what you mean by water park, but there certainly is the possibility that there might be some water features or ponds, especially over in the area where the current wastewater treatment plant is, but that would be fairly in the future when when that plant is decommissioned. There's another question in the chat about, will Crownsville Road be widened? So what we've got in this master plan is really just conceptual ideas. You saw that Cecily presented the possibility for a traffic circle to improve the general entrance to the site, and that kind of clunky double intersection between Crownsville and Generals Highway, and then immediately at Crownsville and Fairfield Loop, right? There's those two lights. So we are looking at traffic improvements, but it's really too early to say what those would result in and whether there would be road widening or not. We haven't done a full traffic survey, so these are at the conceptual point at this time. All right, don't see any other hands up, and we've answered the two questions in the Q&A chat. So that means it's time for us to adjourn. And wow, we did a great job. I didn't think we'd get through that in 45 minutes. But I suspect you all want to close down this Zoom and go open up the draft master plan, because that will be time well spent. So again, I'll announce our next meeting for the advisory committee is going to be December 5th at noon. That will be virtual webinar like this one. In the meantime, please do feel free to come to the open house that is tonight at Rolling Knolls Elementary. And then we have our town hall is October 30th at Baldwin Hall, and that will also have the county executive, and you'll have your chance to address the crowd as well. In the meantime, to repeat, any feedback is always welcome at crownsville-park-comments@aacounty.org, where our team will receive all of those and direct them to the appropriate place. So thanks everybody for a good meeting. Happy reviewing the master plan. Can't wait to see your feedbacks, and good luck to our subcommittees as they prepare their official comments. So thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you.